We've already got some sales there, working with Michael Neely, which we met down here at this meeting, that I think can really help our sales. We got some really cool stuff. I'm not going to turn it loose yet and tell you what it is, but some of the things we're going to be able to do on the iPad and things is going to really change that whole venue and make that easier. So we've got a lot of different projects in that. Here's some of the things that we've had that have worked pretty well for us. We can kind of get it. We're a little different. It's one thing to develop it if we prototype it. Even if you got some invention that gets patented, who cares? Really, bottom line, nobody cares until somebody sells something. You know, we don't stop until it gets sold, and that's kind of some of the things that we've been fortunate enough to work on. Some of the stuff, you know, I've learned over the years that, you know, it doesn't really matter what I think about it, because some of the thing is just do it, because a lot of times, you know, what I think would be something good is totally, the perfect example is those designer socks this lady's got, crazy looking. I mean, they're absolutely wild. You can see them from 50 feet away. They're the brightest colors and everything. I thought that'll never work, you know, but she was passionate about it. She had some marketing things. Turned out that's keeping one local mill going on about 10, 12 jobs, and it's probably the biggest thing for him to keep going. And the difference was, what got my attention is she, instead of getting $20 a dozen, she's getting $20 a pair. Well, that got our attention. Well, now she's got it's a network of just hundreds of small boutiques throughout the country, and she's selling those things like crazy. Go to socklady.com. I won't go through all the details because I know we got just a few minutes, but we've had a lot of success in trying to get that product through some of the networks and some of the things we've developed over the years with retail, whether it's a retail type thing or whether it's going through the internet. We work with websites, create those things, put it out there. If it's marketing materials, because we've worked in trade shows, we've set up trade shows in some of the largest venues in the world, in Vegas and some of the other, in Tokyo and things like that. So we've got kind of a little different skill sets that we can bring to the table to try to make things happen. Probably more important than anything, though, is the partnerships that we have. Obviously, we started with very, very little. When we got started, the industry is what helped us, the hosiery industry, to get started. I mean, I didn't even have a desk when we got started. And the folks, you know, we had no budget for machinery, things like that. Over the years, though, industry helped us. They helped us get equipment, get the yarns, get the things set up. We started building. And then, obviously, we started going through different agencies and different folks that we could work with. Who can really help? Who's the arm wavers that we look at that tell you all this good stuff and nothing happens, and who's the real deal who can help somebody go to the next level. And these are some of the folks, it's certainly not all, that we work with very, very closely. They're very, very good type partners. You know, people like NCCET. You know, it's even for me as an NC State graduate, I've actually, these guys have done a lot for us. They helped us. They pulled a group of students together to pull for our military procurement. They created a website for us. They went through literally a stack this high of all 50 states how to do business with the government. And we rated them, this was for the soccer industry, from 1 to 5 socks on how easy it was to do business with that particular state. What's the website? Is there a fee? Blah, blah, blah. All the different things to try to help our guys do it. So it's a very easy, searchable database. So with that, I've actually, you know, they helped us out. That was a huge help. So, you know, for that in return, I've actually taught classes down there at UNC, which is tough, and then actually rode the bus with the chancellor, and they have a little Carolina bus tour. So, yeah, I've done a lot for those folks. But you know, it's been a real huge help for us. You know, we really, those partners, again, our customers don't care. They don't care who solved it. It makes no difference. We did recently get a grant from the Golden Leaf Foundation, which really helped us with a lot more capabilities to do some really out there type things. We've got a digital microscope that is just fantastic. We can solve problems. We literally did not get it out of the box. It was sitting there with boxes stacked up, and we had a guy come in. He said, "I have got to have this done now. I've got to have this done right now. I've got to." He was trying to. There was a huge order from the Indian military that was there, that they needed these measurements made on 2 different products to be done immediately. So we don't even know how to run the machine yet, but we know how to mount it and put it together. The guy was there to train us. He came over and you know, we got it done in about 30 minutes. He got the test done. He went back and got the order, and the next week I got a whole group of Indian military generals and all this stuff are in my lab checking us out, seeing if we can do their testing, and it ended up a several $1 million order for them. You know, and we've had two more visits from those Indian generals, and we've got another one scheduled in March. They come in and audit all the product that's coming in, so it's going to some of their special ops forces over there. So they wanted to pay for U.S. manufactured stuff. So, you know, everybody that thinks that we're dead in U.S. manufacturing, that is a wrong assumption. We're getting lots of calls right now. I had 2 calls last week wanting to replace one was wanting to replace their Chinese vendor, and the other one was wanting to replace their Turkish vendor with U.S. made goods. We're getting that in all industries. We're getting a lot of that. You'll know it's not going to come back 100%, but we do not need to write it off. We really don't. We can do accelerated weathering testing now, you know, and that can be done for anything from textiles to awnings to ropes to, you know, we can do both weathering of, you know, whether it's like we can create conditions like in the desert or in the rainforest. So, you know, from that wide of a range. We can do X-ray fluorescent scanning, where we can scan materials and see what's in it, you know, for things like lead and cadmium and a lot of different things very quickly. We got a laser scanner which we could take any product and scan it and put it into a CAD file. That it's very portable. You know, we can take and scan that cup, take that and then put it into one of the 3D modelers that's over at Sid's place and create a model. So that's, you know, we're still learning. We're still trying to. We just got this equipment in October. We're still learning how to test all of it, and how to use all of it. Physical stress testing. We can actually take like a piece of furniture. We can drop the 750 pounds on it, you know, 100,000 times and see if it breaks. You know, very important for bariatric patients and things like that. So, how effective are we? We get surveyed every quarter from NIST. It's the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They call our customers and see, well, did you do anything? And you know, bottom line, the 2 things we're looking at is increased sales, and you know, reducing costs. And our economic impact was about $105 million for an 8-year period, and 1,034 jobs. This isn't a formula. This isn't something that we can figure out, because I'm not smart enough to figure that out. So they just call and ask, did you increase your employment from that? Our last quarter was really good. I will never do this every quarter. I'd like to say we would, but that was April and June of 2010. So you know, we seem to be pretty effective, but you know, what can we do to do more? One of the things that really helped us and was a huge help was one that I'm going to call Donald on, that really got us together and started to do some planning for the future, was an event that showcased resources in Catawba Valley that Danny put on in October of 2009. We had presentations from all these folks, and we looked at it, how can we fit in and what can we do as MSC? We started doing a lot of research trips based on what we saw at that event. You know, we toured Centennial Campus, we saw a lot of things. We've since gone on a lot of research trips to see, okay, what are they doing in these places, and what can we set up? And some of the nice things that's been happening is we're getting tons of business from these guys right here. I get 3 or 4 a week, entrepreneurs that are from up in the Asheville area. You know, the folks at NC State are sending us folks. You know, one of the things that we've got in this area, because a lot of the incubators and things like that we tour, they say, well, we're great, we get all this research done, but how do we get it manufactured? Well, you know, they say, you mean you can help us find somebody? We've yet to not be able to find somebody, some way to get it manufactured. We know where to get it, and a lot of it's right there in this county. I mean, we've got something that a lot of folks don't have. It was really interesting, particularly when we went down to NC State. You know, they really don't have some of the manufacturing capability in that area that we have right here. And that kind of led us to, that put Donald and I together. And Donald, I'm gonna let you say a couple words about what you had set up when we got into.
Yeah, I'll do just a quick history. I think Dewey's got some other stuff he wants to mention, so I won't take a lot of time. For those of you that were here, I guess it was September, Daddy, maybe, last time we were here, you kind of get into part two of that presentation from Dan. We were at the chamber event. It was an inter-city event instead of an intra-city event as before. So we were trying to focus on assets, and we're all sitting there in the room, and you kind of hearing the same old stuff, you know, over and over. And then Dan gets up, who I'd never met before. In about 3 minutes, I realized this guy's either crazy or he really knows what he's talking about. And I might have been one of 3 or 4 folks in the room that realized what he was saying. And so at the end of the meeting, I go to Danny. I said, I need to talk to this guy. I said, I really want to. He said, well, we're going to take a tour. So we took a tour, and I'm watching one of our own industrial clients, Dalco Nonwovens, family-owned company, standing there talking to Dan and watching the antimicrobial lab, and says, I have to have that same test done. And I shipped that test to Texas, and it takes 6 weeks, I believe she said. It costs her like $200 or $300. And said, we can do that in 3 days for about $25. And I said, wait a minute, we're not doing the right thing here. There's something really wrong. So I take the rest of the tour, and I'm talking and listening, and he's got a partner, Tony Whitener. I start getting some information from him, and I go back and I see Bruce Ecker, and I said, we got to go see these guys. He said, when do you want to go? I said, right now. So I load Bruce in the car. We go over and sit with them, and they're in their break room. That's the only place you got to sit down where they're at. And there's people in there at break. We have to run them out so we can sit down and have a meeting. And we pitched them what we're doing at Conover Station. And we start talking with one another and say, okay, here's an opportunity. There might be some synergies here. And over the next year or so, we've been able to raise about $2.5 million so far, plus the $200,000 grant that he got from Golden Leaf, and to create a new facility for these guys that will basically more than double the space that they have. Because if you go in there, they're not stacking machines anymore. They're not stacking bodies anymore. They're hanging it from the ceilings. It's literally that bad. But they're doing all of this global work. I mean, they're on every continent but Antarctica, right? In most of the Western European countries. And they're having a huge impact on our local economy. And nobody knows that they existed. And that's the problem. It was so interesting to me that we've actually gotten calls. This is a true story. This happened. A local company, parent company, is owned by a Fortune 500 company. We started negotiating with them about a piece of property across the street from Conover Station. Looking at them relocating an operation that's here at Hickory, they want to expand, go from about 20 employees to somewhere in the high 80 range. Consolidating 2 operations in the Midwest and relocating them here. Went through about, Nathan, how long? 2 years of negotiations with these folks. Couldn't get their attention. Sit down with them one day and tell them about the opportunities they may have with one of their neighbors across the street. They send that information to corporate. They go online. They do the YouTube things. We get a call. The CEO of a Fortune 500 company wants to meet with us because of what's happening across the street from where he may relocate his building. That happened. We were all there. Brought down his whole team to view this. He came to Conover, North Carolina, Catawba County, North Carolina, just to see what these guys were doing and how it would interact with our project. So that's how big it is. They're also listed as one of the top 6 places, or top 5 places to work for in the world. And it's the only manufacturer listed in the top 25 companies in the world. Pretty interesting. So, we've seen great impacts. We already had one company that's relocated to Conover from Shelby just so they can be close to this operation, get their testing done, get their research and development done. So we're doing